Welcome back, fellow jazz bums. Today we're going to get into kind of a year in review conversation. We'll touch on, I think, equipment, we'll touch on reissues, we'll talk on new artists and everything in between. Before we do, remember to like and subscribe. It helps the channel. We also have the Jazz Bums Discord, so we'll drop an invite link in the description below. And we also live stream every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, so check us out there as well. All right, what are we going to talk about?
All right. Well, so it's 2024 in review, right? So what did you guys like the most about 2024 that you can remember?
No, it's a great question. I think my very favorite thing that I got this year probably had to be, and we talked about this Friday, the Reminiscent Suite, the Mal Waldron Teramasu. I think that was my favorite reissue of the year, and there's been a ton of them. So, but that one sticks out to me. Cool. It was my personal favorite, probably.
For me, I think a lot of my collecting was based on circumstance, and a couple record stores this year in Connecticut, Red Scroll, Elm City Sounds, and Jerosa Records in particular, just based on some of the titles that they had, the used jazz titles, I've been able to really explore areas of the collection that I think are difficult to do because they're just hard records to find. So that really helped shift a lot of my collecting this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say with Mike on the same kind of point. I like going. I go to my local record store every Saturday, and the cool thing is that on Saturdays they have a internet radio show going on. So, and they always like throwing different stuff. So I think it was a good way to expose myself and get deeper into different sounds from different parts of the world, different instruments, different things, and it's very exciting. I think it's very refreshing in a sense to be exposed to that, and I think that kind of broadened my listening, my search to different things, to explore more and be more up to date with what's being done currently, because I think there's just so much stuff out there. There's a point that I kind of keep making, and there's just, and I think in terms of like being more how can I say, being more bold and inventive, creative. I think although there's great stuff here in the US, I think outside the US there's even more interesting stuff going on with experimentation, different instruments, different approaches, writing, structure, everything, which I think is really cool. It's mind opening and good exposure. But I still keep my old stuff here and there sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, I think another big thing for this year for me that this is kind of true. Maybe this started last year actually, but not being on the instant buy every reissue that comes out thing,
Yeah.
Because in 2020 to 2022 and part of 2023, it was like instantly, no Tone Poets out, I'm buying it right now,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I still get a lot of them, but I usually wait for the sales, like right now, to do that, to catch up on them. But and I think this other thing kind of started before this year too, but really kind of ramped up for me. It was like Black Saint cell note stuff, digging in the bins for those. And that's the kind of stuff I listen to a lot more now than like my Blue Notes, I guess. I feel like we've all been on these journeys over the last few years, and it's interesting to see how they've kind of transformed, like what we're really listening to. I think, Mike, we can talk about this, but I think your big thing this year was the older stuff, bebop.
Yeah.
Felipe obviously has gone deep into the new artists, which is really cool. And then the Black Saint and Cell Note stuff is one thing, but my biggest thing this year is CDs for sure.
Yeah.
I'm getting sucked into the CD world, which has been great because there's so much stuff that's not available on vinyl, or it's super expensive or whatever.
Or it sounds better.
Yeah. And I will say, like, just as an observer, like when you show your CD hauls and talk about what it is and then the prices and just the quantity, and it's hugely appealing to be able to spend a couple $100 and get like 25 CDs or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from the 90s, I know for sure. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
No, yeah, exactly. And so that's the late 80s, 90s, or even early aughts stuff I've been getting into that I never had heard at all. you know.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think adding to that, even like the old stuff, and I mean, you can find some cheap, some very expensive, 10 inches, 78, whatever. But you can, I think, in a more like rewarding kind of thing, if you're thinking about the music and the history, you can get like a nice, great box sets from Mosaic, Columbia, from Verve, from Decca, from all these labels, and they're going to come in very nice package. And I think that's most important with the really good booklets, research, illustrated, that give a good substance and background about the music. Because you can buy like a 78 shellac in a cardboard thing, or it's cool, but it's hard. There's not much documentation about that. There's no cover or anything. So I think CD boxes, especially for that era, they're a great resource for learning for sure.
Just to defend the 78 collectors, I do think there is an experience, like a reaction that people have to the original artifact, that is more engaging in some ways, which is what is kind of appealing to me. I don't know if I'm going to start collecting 78s because my record player doesn't play 78. So I'd have to have a little bit of an investment, but it is something that I'm definitely interested in. And for the most part, I've been really fortunate to get really early 50s LPs of some of the 78 stuff. I made a couple videos on that this year, and those definitely scratch the itch and give me kind of the vintage kind of experience of the era. Um, but I 100% agree. Like Mosaic, the stuff that they put out, the more I get into the older stuff, the more Mosaic comes up as like a key resource, because they just put out stuff that no one else has touched. And there's great, and it's great stuff. So yeah, so I probably will explore Mosaic and some of the other things as well.
Yeah, I mean the Verve and Columbia box sets, they're terrific, right? Because you got some of the Miles box sets, you could experience how those books are, and the quality of everything that's put together. I think those are great examples of things. Don't limit yourself to a format. Limit yourself to a genre. Limit yourself to whatever you like, but never to a format, because you're never gonna find what you need most of the times.
Yeah, one of the things I want to do next year too, which I've done a little bit this year, is the newer stuff, like the stuff you've been exploring, Felipe. I want to buy the CDs. Like I don't have, like I bought a couple of like I really got into International Anthem a little bit this year. I've got probably 7 or 8 of those now.
Yeah.
And the albums are amazing and beautiful, but like I found a bunch of the CDs for like $5, man.
You can buy the CDs, and a lot of stuff. Truly, I go on Bandcamp and buy the downloads.
Yeah, that's true.
As cheap as they are, I think it's cool to to go directly there. You're supporting the artists, you're supporting what they're doing, and I set up my digital end here, so I have a nice server. Everything is there, and I can listen anywhere.
Well, that's new for you this year, pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah, I
your
mean,
digital
yeah,
setup?
yeah. I kind of went a little heavier on streaming. I mean, nothing very fancy, but I got 2 Blue Sound nodes, so I can stream, I can manage everything, and running on top of that, I built like a Room server. So Room, for the ones who don't know, is a digital managing software. You set up this software that runs over. You put on your Wi-Fi. You can run for a computer. You don't have to have a server necessarily. I just built one myself. I didn't buy their server, but so it kind of finds. So I hooked up my hard drive with all my music there, and I also have my subscription to Qobuz. So it picks up everything that I have, puts under the same interface, and has their own recommendations, description, which I think is really cool. You can click there and find. You listen to a record, you can actually click on versions. So all the versions that are being issued of that record digitally, you can choose, because if you just go to Spotify, you're just going to listen to the latest remaster. You cannot choose, what version you want to hear.
Yeah.
Which I think it's really, really cool, and it's a plus. There's like good background history. It's not they just copy and paste from some website that most streaming services do. So I'm really happy with that, and I think it's not a huge investment. I think, how much was that? You can buy a room like for 150 for the year, or I think it's like 8 or 850. You can buy lifetime. That's it. You're done.
Mm.
So I think it's a good investment because they're not going to go anywhere. They're just bought by Martin and Logan. They're doing very good, and it works flawlessly. I can even stream my own music, my own hard drive from when I'm on the road, which is
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a? Maybe we can talk about gear because I know y'all both did some gear stuff this year. Do you have that like hardwired, like with an Ethernet cable, like into
Yes, one
your
of them
digital?
is Ethernet. The one is internet. The one is Ethernet. The other one is Wi-Fi. So when you're
Right.
doing Wi-Fi, you already lose on the sample rate. The
Right.
cabled version is the best one you can have for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it drops the sampling rate, and then depending on how many things you have, if you're going to headphone, if you're going wireless, if you're going to Bluetooth or what, everything changes for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But if you have a cable one, if you can add one to your um, if you want to add one to your gear, I mean to your amp or to whatever, you can do that. They can even hook up to your TV if you like.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Mike,
it's
you want to
cool.
get into your new gear for the year?
Okay, so I got the KEF LS50 Metas, and I got an amp, which is the Cambridge AXR 100, and a new turntable, the Riga P6 with the Exact 2 moving magnet cartridge.
Mm.
And it took me a while to appreciate how good it sounds. I feel like it just took a lot of listening, maybe breaking in, but I really do feel like it's a really nice system that
Mm.
uh, you know, does the job really well. So those KEFs are really good sounding.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there's, for the style of music that I listen to, there's definitely options to improve. But I feel like overall, I mean, it's a good sounding system. So uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy with it. So yeah, that was a big thing. I think in our recap last year, I mentioned I wanted to make system upgrades,
Mm-hmm.
and I took the plunge and I invested into it. So I'm gonna enjoy this for a little while. But there's, like I mentioned, like potentially getting like a 78 or having the ability to swap head shells. There might be turntables that I'd be looking to try. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at.
Did you do any other gear stuff, Felipe, this year?
No, Chris, my last upgrade was like cables, so I'm done with that. The only thing I'm looking at now, I'm looking at step up transformer to add to my phono amp for when I'm playing moving coil. That's makes a huge difference, a huge improvement for a moving coil. I checked some, I tested some, I kind of locking in a few different options there. So a step up transformer is something that you add when you're playing moving coil, right? So if you're doing just moving magnet, every moving magnet works the same. So it has your phono amp is going to have like a fixed gain there. It works for every single, but for a moving coil it changes. The output is very low.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, when you hook up to a moving coil phono stage, you're just like amplifying twice. It's like you have a preamp and an amp inside of your phono preamp. So you add the step up transformer before the phono amp, and and then you hook up to the actual to the moving magnet thing. You don't add to the moving coil. And of course, there are different step up transformers depending on the output of your cartridge. You have to know how to match that. But you get a lot more gain, a lot more resolution, a lot more like gut out of your moving coil cartridge, which is something that I find my cartridge is really nice, detailed. I love it, but I want it to be a little louder and have more guts there. So that's what I'm probably gonna go for next year. I mean, looking into some options, and that's it. And my long-term goal, I'm about to place an order with Deckware. I want to get a 300B amp, which is like the creme de la creme of the tube sound. My current amp does not play 300Bs, so I want a 300B amp as well.
Woo! Nice.
Yeah. The cool thing with Deckware is you put 10% down, then you get in line. They take about 2 years to build your amp anyway, so you can just save money and pay for the rest when it's ready.
Well, that's cool.
So that's my goal. And they're hand wired, like the whole Japanese style. Everything made by hand, no circuits, no anything. Everything is like to the. Let's see.
You're
I'm
gonna
excited
sell
about that.
Are you gonna sell the amp you have?
No way.
No.
No. Yeah, no, I love this amp. I absolutely love. But the 300B is a different sound.
Mm.
It's very three-dimensional, holographic. It's hard to explain. You have to listen to 300B, and then
Yeah.
that's the problem. Yeah,
Cool.
but that's a long-term goal. About 2 years from now, yeah. But
Yeah.
that's something. Yeah. What about yourself? What's your plan?
Probably do nothing. Well, I don't know. I do want to get my dad's Marantz fixed finally. I've had it for a couple of years now, and I just haven't, made it a priority to fix it. I'm also thinking about maybe getting into headphones next year.
Mm-hmm.
I get into some nice headphones and like a nice, headphone amp
That'd
to
be cool.
go straight from my phono preamp into that into the headphones. I think that might be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
No, for sure. Yeah, headphones are cool. I'm looking at headphones as well. Me, Roberto, and we're having good discussions about that. Yeah. So we have
Yeah.
some options for you later.
Yeah, that's cool.
No things. Yeah.
Because I'm in this room, this small room. I'm very limited on the space I have to like with speakers. Like the speakers I have is pretty much what I'm going to stick with in here, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be a fun way to explore some differences in gear and stuff. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I hate it. Like I do have a pair of I can't remember what they're called now, but a couple $100 headphones I bought for monitoring, like for music production.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very like revealing or whatever, but they're boring to listen to.
Gotcha.
Like there's like no bass really. I mean, they're just kind of boring to listen to. So it'd be cool if I could find a place where I could audition some headphones to really kind of figure out what I'm getting and if I like the way they sound or not.
I'm guessing there
Uh,
should be some in Dallas, right?
Maybe, I don't know. I haven't really got into the whole hi-fi scene in Dallas. I'm sure there's some stores and stuff, but
All
I think that
right.
could be an interesting way to kind of scratch that itch.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure, for sure.
Let's talk about your your obsession with bebop and everything that you've developed over the year. It's
Oh
been
yeah.
a huge thing for you, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm still learning about it. Still also learning about the sound of it, because a lot of like the titles and uh, songs that they're not like traditional. I mean, they're doing like ballads and they do some swing stuff, and then they do like a bebop standard. So it's not like a strict like form that they only played, that I can tell. So anyway, so I've just been exploring it. The artists that I've been really getting into are, I've said them a number of times on the channel now, but like Wardo Gray, Fats Navarro, Howard McGee, Dexter Gordon, Charlie Parker, Miles was part of it, and then there's like Curly Russell. There's tons and tons of great players that moved on to kind of the LP era in the 50s. But there's plenty that didn't, that passed away in the 40s,
Yeah.
50s,
Yeah.
and that music is well worth exploring.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been doing. I've been really listening to a lot of Leo Parker, and getting some understanding of what he was doing. He was not just like strictly bebop, which is what I initially thought. A lot of his like records like are total like party records. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they just have like a total like, I don't know, like swing to it. But then there's other stuff, like he has some Savoy records with some of the bebop guys that he's leading, that Leo Parker's leading, and it's the style of like that. So it's interesting just to see the range, and it's just fun. I just been having a lot of fun listening to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing about bebop, I mean, I've been reading more bebop than I've been buying records. I have tons of CDs of bebop, and I got an amazing book that you should read. It's called Inside Bebop. It's like a 150-page book by Leonard Feder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's split in two parts. First part is why, how did bebop become bebop, and what took, and the second part is how. The how talks about music sheet, explains what they're doing, why they're doing, how it developed, and the main guys, what they did. And there's a full discography at the end. So that book is like essential to understand
That's so
bebop.
cool.
Yeah, it's super easy and quick to read.
Mm-hmm.
And because if you think about bebop was a moment in time, right? It came out after the war thing. There was the whole effervescence of ideas. Those guys getting a lot into classical music, And that's the thing. Those guys like Charlie Christian and Dizzy Gillespie figured that if you're playing, it was a 32 bar blues broken in fours of eights, right? 8 bars, boom, 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 boom. And on the fourth, fifth, and the seventh notes, the dominant, the semi-dominant, the retaking one, they would always change there. And by changing that, they could change. That's why changing the harmony, they could repeat the thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And just making new music out of that, because the chords, the melodies and harmonies, they have copyright, but not the chord sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the songs sound so similar to each other in a sense, but so much variation, so much speed.
Yeah.
Because inside those 8 bars, they wanted to fill in with as many notes as they could with that
Yeah,
speed.
exactly. Yeah.
Right. And then the LP killed it, because the LP gave room for people to be more, they don't have to be so fast. And that speed and thing kind of turned out the audience. It was not watchable in a sense, you know what I mean? That's why they got that moment. And Dizzy Gillespie, he was the figure, right? With his hat and his shades, and he was in magazine covers all the time. He became like a pop star.
Yeah.
But then the LP comes, that dies, because everything changes very fast.
I think the big revelation for me was because I kind of what I've learned that I really enjoy is the small group bop session,
Mhm.
and I really kind of prefer listening to that style. And what I learned, like I thought, kind of like the earlier stuff was more like swing oriented, um, more orchestrated. And when kind of started listening to the bebop stuff, it's essentially that it's small group bop,
Mhm.
and and these guys like Parker is just. I mean, I know I've said this 1,000 times, and everybody knows this, but his abilities are incredible. He's like my favorite player, in terms of like if you listen to A Night in Tunisia, the alto break that he does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's just his voice is just unparalleled in my
Mhm.
opinion. It
Yeah.
just it's the best. And uh, anyway, so I just think that I just realized I like this format. And if I just go back a little bit to the kind of pre-LP era and just deal with kind of the recording limitations, that the music itself is like some of the best of that form. So
Mhm.
that's what really kind of attracted me to it. Because I tried to go back and listen to stride piano, and I like that. I listened to early like Hot Five, Hot Seven, Louis Armstrong. I like that, but it's my preferred thing is small group bop, and so I just kind of got to explore the early stuff, and it's just great. I mean, I think it's it's definitely where that's why I'm thinking about getting more into 78s because I really love that era, and the more engaged I can get with it, I think is something I want to explore. So anyway,
Mhm.
Very cool.
but to that, I've really kind of put blinders on to a lot of stuff because of just kind of like my focus on the earlier stuff. So that has limited me in some ways this year, which I recognize.
Yeah, I can see that. But I mean, that's your energy though, man. And like your super focus, like superpower, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like what I'm doing, so I don't have an issue with it. But I don't know. It's something that I just want to. I just want to explore other stuff. So I actually think what I'm going to do for 2025 is continue going back to the earlier stuff and learning more about it, and then also going on the other end of the spectrum. So either like more avant-garde stuff from the 70s, 80s, 90s, or new artists today.
I think to your point, Mike, was something that I've been having. I mean, reading stuff too. I think especially after the 80s, so there was this whole free avant-garde 70s funk fusion. And then the 80s come, there's a kind of let's face again, the more traditional stuff. That's the whole Winter Marsalis school and everything with a different approach. But I think from the 90s and on until like the early 2000s, a lot of reverence for the past, and people kind of shackled in a sense not to try much, I think. Everybody was like rereading, playing standards, playing in very traditional ways. And I think to me now, I think I'd say most is like a Wayne Shorter school all over the place.
Mm.
People are way more into that than they were 10 years, 15 years ago into, let's play the 56, this 50 stuff. I think there's a lot, especially on the spiritual side, there's a lot of people doing spiritual jazz now.
Yeah.
And trying with electronics and different instruments, Eastern instruments. So I see a lot of this Wayne Shorter school, more exploratory, more open, trying to set a mood and tell a story. And because, look at most of these records that I showed and discussed in that other video, there's always things about care, compassion, and search for your inner self, and things like this. There's a lot of that thematic these days, and I think especially these days. So that's why I see the Wayne Shorter kind of school and other guys as well. Just think Wayne because it's an easier reference for everything, which I find amazing. And I love the electronics too. I think electronics are indispensable these days, and being a denying it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree. I've liked a lot of the like ambient-ish type stuff. Like I think that Carlos Nino record I got this year is really great.
That's dope, right? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And to that point, ambient music. We talk about take a record like Collodium by Anthony Wilson, and the one that you sent me, Mike, that we talked about by
Michael Muller.
Mike Miller, yes, on Deutsche Grammophon. That's pure ambient. It's very exploratory. I think a lot of the music nowadays has to do with that. Has to do with setting a mood and kind of transporting you somewhere. I mean, listen to the Braja stuff, right? That thing is amazing too, and I think it works more like in a, I don't know, mind sense, meditation. I don't know. I love that kind of stuff because you can just like dive yourself in a couch and listen to that, and wow, transports.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I also like feel like there's going to be a lot of revolutionary music coming out over the next 4 years too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which will be interesting.
Yes, yeah. I agree with you, Chris.
There's been some over the last several years too that I've really enjoyed, especially on International Anthem.
Mm-hmm.
I have not gotten into the International Anthem yet, and I know I'm like the last person about this, but the new artist that broke out for me when I was really not focused on new artists this year, as much as you guys, were James Brandon Lewis, Tyson Shorey, VJ Iyer, who played with Tyshawn, and the Braha that we got. Trying to think, there were a few others too, but that just reminded me. We went to the Vanguard a few times. I saw who's the vibe player.
Joe Ross. The Joe Ross concert was amazing.
That was amazing, and that was like all acoustic, like that. They're like all acoustic stuff can be really good.
Yeah,
as well, and they were phenomenal. And the tenor set, there was a tenor and an alto, and the tenor was amazing.
Yes,
she was.
I think it was Maria Sanchez. I think was her name.
She was unbelievable.
I might be wrong. Yeah,
they were all good.
Yeah. And yeah, so the James Brandon Lewis, I got 2 records. I got the Mesthetics one, and I got his own. Also, there was a Dave Murray quartet this year as well that came out really good. And out of the Dave Murray quartet, one of the band members, that's called Maria Sanchez. Also, her solo record is unbelievable as well. So yeah, it's kind of just gotta break down everything. Yeah, there's just so much good stuff, and those guys are always playing in New York. Don't come very often here to Florida, but it's so easy to catch them playing.
Yeah. If I lived up there, that's what I'd be doing every week. Be going to shows.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Vanguard tickets are only $40.
Yeah, that's a steal.
What does it cost you to take the train there and back?
It's $30 on weekends.
It's not too bad.
Yeah,
especially if you can ride into the city and go to a show and then ride home without having to like stay somewhere overnight.
Yeah, exactly. So
those commuter trains like just run till midnight. I mean, like, how does that work?
So for me, Metro North runs pretty much 24 hours.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
there's a train like every hour on the weekends.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
That's nice. Yeah, that was another highlight for me in 2024. I went to New York twice to go to the Vanguard. Went to Jazz Record Center. We had some chatting with Ken, and I went to the record fair, which I totally pretty much I was not focused on buying records. I just was focused on having a fun weekend, and that was amazing. We had yeah, we hang out with Jeremy there. With met a lot of people at the fair. We had a really fun time with Steve Gutenberg as well. Fun discussions there. Yeah, it was a great day, and I'm planning to do more, maybe even more than twice in 2025.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd like to get up there at least once next year, and then I mean, I did the Austin record show, which was super fun.
Hmm.
Again, I mean, I enjoyed the digging some, and I found some really cool stuff, but it was more fun to just hang out with people. You
Yeah,
know,
right. Yeah, also the same vibe too. Just look at your shells and dude, I have enough. I don't need to be like shelling hundreds and hundreds everywhere I go just because people are doing that. It's just like,
right?
yeah, let's have
Yeah,
some fun. If I find anything, I'll get it. But it's not like mandatory.
you got a good deal on that. That
Golden
Ken.
Age.
Yeah,
Yeah, I bought that one though. That was great,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
There was a copy. I actually saw one copy, and the guy was kind of asking too much, but I was still about to buy. Too much was not much by any means whatsoever. But then you found the other one. It was
Yeah.
like kind of like not substantially, but it was a few like couple of
It was a
couple
decent
dollars less.
copy. It was
Yeah,
a yeah,
very decent copy.
yeah.
So yeah,
And
well,
that's why I
good.
like these random finds.
so this is the Golden Eight. It's a Kenny Clark record with I think Francis Boland or
Yes.
Boylan's on it,
Oh,
and
Yeah.
the record is great. It's fire.
it's a very unique Blue Note record and one that is not. I don't think they pressed it that much.
No, it's a 84,000. I think the only that of course there's Japanese ones, but then after that you have the Music Matters, which
Okay.
is not expensive but not so easy to find, and it's, don't see it like everywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they did a lot of records together later too. Like on Atlantic, I've got a couple of their big band records that really, really good and super
Yeah,
cheap.
yeah.
yeah. I think that record highlights like the Kenny Clark's playing in
Mhm.
direction to is great, great. I couldn't be happier with that one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an early 4,000s, I think. No, it's an late 4,000s. I think it's almost 4,100.
Hmm.
If I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong.
I don't know. How about some of your favorite pickups? I mean, I talked about the Mal Waldron earlier, but what are some of the favorite things you've picked up this year?
I got some cool stuff. Like I got some rock records that I was looking for. So I got them like originals of the Teenage Fan Club, some Smith stuff, some Garbage, some what else? I'm looking at my shelves now. Sonic Youth. I got both Daydream Nation and
Hmm.
Sister and Evil. I really love those records. I'm glad that I got those in their original forms. I got a bunch of like White Stripe stuff. On jazz, I would say some of the tempos really I love them, but they're just not like crazy difficult things to find, right?
Sure.
I love the record that I put up as number one. I love the record absolutely. The Alta da Vita with Alina Bishinska and Tony Coffey, and just random finds at my shop. Like
Mhm.
sometimes he knows that I like the Blue Note stuff, so when something shows up and he say, oh, he saves it for me, and pricing is usually very good. Or sometimes I got even some records for free. So I'm really cool. I got the Ted Jones Volume 3, stuff like that. I got Dexter Calling. I got the Blues in Trinity, the Dizzy Reese, stuff like that, which I'm really, really thrilled and happy about. And stuff that I bought later in the year. That's the Utah
Mhm.
Hip 10-inch. So I'm getting there. I'm halfway through my Utah Hip
Mhm.
4 record collection there. And so some of those things, Chris, I'm happy that I was able to find those things, and stuff that you don't think about just shows and pops up. I think that's the fun part of it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, a couple of records specifically stick out. The Billy Harper Black Saint, finding that in Austin was really cool. And then the other one would be the Clipper Jordan Night of the Mark 7 that you picked up for me, Felipe. When that came up, that's another big one for me for this year. Beyond that, I mean, several hundred CDs.
Yeah.
There's some stuff. There's a lot of stuff. Ken Vandermark comes to mind as a guy that I've really got into this year that I just didn't even know existed before. So it's been an interesting year. I think. Well, go ahead. What about you, Mike? Like, what are some of your favorite things that you picked up this year?
Well, we spoke about the bebop stuff, so that was really fun to collect those early like dial pressings and the Folkways series and the 10-inch stuff that I've been getting. I really have been enjoying that. And then I tried to kind of build up the quote unquote like classics collection. So like I got a Way Out West mono, Portrait and Jazz mono, uh, a mono Blue Train. So a lot of like kind of classic records in their kind of early form. But things that kind of surprised me outside of that. The thing that comes to mind is this title. I really dig this kind of avant-garde style. So this gives me like inspiration to continue looking for more later stuff, more avant-garde stuff. I'm pretty selective with it. I think a lot of people are pretty selective with what they get. But anyway, that one really stood out. I absolutely love that session.
All right, what are your plans for 25? Like, what's going to be different in 2025 about your collecting?
I could jump in here.
Go for it.
Go for it.
I keep track of all my spending, and this is the first year I did it for the full year. I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to make significant cuts to it. I don't want to continue spending as much as I have been. I also am going to start selling and potentially doing like upgrade things. So if I find a nice copy, I can upgrade it and then sell off the current version to kind of offset things, which I think will help lower my spending as well. So I think I just want to feel like I did a really good push to get a nice system to listen on, a good collection that I really love. But I think I want to be a little bit more thoughtful when it comes to my budget. And I think that constraint is going to shift kind of my behavior. So we'll see. In terms of like collecting genre, I think I do want to continue looking for more out there stuff. I want to continue looking for new artists, and then I'll continue with the old stuff too. I'm always looking for deals, so if a great record comes up for $20, I'll always pick that up. So it just really depends on what's available.
That makes sense. How about you, Felipe?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same boat, Chris. So another thing I did earlier this year, I reorganized my room. I got new shelves so I put that at a limit. That's my pace. I'm not gonna go anywhere else. I'm not gonna put stuff on the floor. I'm not gonna anything. So I'm being very space conscious. So that's why I think digital is gonna be strong for me in a sense. Digital downloads, CDs, because it's all the same. I think I have a good core collection of important stuff. I have I have like a handful of good Blue Notes now, and I'm happy with that. I have my rock records that I like. I've been keeping all my tone poets from the start, and I'm gonna be more selective and careful. I think kind of reallocation. If you think about that, I mean, records are cool, but as Mike said, if you think about and start putting things on paper, I want to do different stuff in my life. I want to travel. I want to do different things. So the record is not a priority for me, and but still, of course, I'm going to be still reading about music. I'm going to be listening to it. Be updated. Everything. I just don't have to buy any record that comes out.
Right.
Just don't have to get everything just because you should have it. No, I don't know. It's my decision. You know what I mean? So I think that applies to everybody. Just be conscious of what you like, what you really means to you, and just enjoy it. That's the most important. It's your heart, not your shelf.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, for me it's similar. I'm gonna be a little more picky about what records I buy. I think specifically for records, CDs less so. That's one thing that's nice for the CDs for me is I can scratch the itch of exploring stuff and just gambling a lot more because they're so cheap. So it's like okay, big deal. Versus buying a $50 record and then hating it.
Yeah.
So there's that. The other thing I want to do a lot of is self-fund new purchases, which means I want to sell off a bunch of shit in my collection that I'm never going to listen to. And I've done some of that over the years, like with the auctions and stuff, but I'm going to continue to really do that and thin out a lot of stuff that, it's nice or whatever to have, but I don't have to have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many records that I'm never going to listen to. Or maybe once every 10 years. And if that's the case, I don't need to have a copy. I've had it. It's been nice. I've listened to it. It's time for somebody else to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah,
for sure. For sure.
I think I just kind of want to always be turning over part of my collection, honestly.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like I'm more aware of, I think, what I want to listen to, I guess. Now that I've listened to so much, I kind of know what I like and what I don't like a little bit better when it comes to jazz. So that's kind of a nice thing too, where I feel like I can appreciate something and I can enjoy it. But do I want to spend, money on it and my time on it as much as something else? Like making those decisions, I feel like I'm more confident in making those decisions.
I have a wish list for 2024.
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
2025.
Okay.
I wish I'll never see again people posting cardboard boxes or destroy their dance or whatever. I wish, dude, keep it to yourself, please.
Banged up shipping boxes is what you're talking about?
Or people like, hey, Joe Harley, what's going on with Blue Note shipping? Dude, do you think he works in a warehouse and shipping your records? Get a life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I just think people, that's what I want to see more in next year. People being, less resentful, just you have a problem, go deal with that. Don't have to tell the world about your problem. There's enough problems in the world.
Yeah.
Enjoy more the music, participate more in discussion, like the artistic merits of things, or not just if the record is warped or if there's a ding in the core. That's it. I think I would love to see people more engaged in discussing the art itself, not just the technical side of things.
One thing I wish for, I like, I'd like the labels to be a little bit more engaging in terms of explaining, the titles they're selecting, what's cool about them. Like, for example, like they put out the Cats on Craft OJC, and it's an interesting title, and there's a lot of interesting things to talk about with it. But I feel like, I don't know, like if you just randomly picked up that record, I don't know if that would if that would be if that would come off as boring. I feel like once it's within the context of like Coltrane on Prestige and what the session is, and I don't know, I just feel like I think that would go a long way in terms of piquing my interest into what the issues are, rather than just like they pick a title, they put it out, and look, maybe that's the process. Maybe there isn't too much thought behind it, but I feel like it's an opportunity for people like us to get the record and make a video about it, of course.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to hear from the producers of these, and obviously Joe Harley does that, Nick Phillips does that. There are people that do that without a doubt. But more, I would like to see that more and more within the jazz space.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wish for 2025 for less shitty reissues. I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff coming out, but then there's a lot of albums that I really want that are in questionable series that aren't attractive to me because of quality issues that I have seen with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think combining to what both guys said, something that I thought combine shitty stuff plus what Mike said about the Cats as an example. I'm not talking about the Cats necessarily. Every record that's rare or has like a cool lineup, oh my god, this is amazing, gotta have it. No, every artist does minor major works,
Hmm.
not because you're like a, you know, one of the top guys there, that everything that you did is great. No, it's not. So, you know, try it first, read about it, see if it's something that you like. Or it happens a lot in any industry. You put someone's name in like bold letters, and maybe he's not even the leader of the session. That happened a lot.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, check those things out, and see if you like or not, instead of just saying, "Oh, it looks amazing." It might be amazing. I don't know. Check it out, read about it. And I think that's very important. You know,
Yeah.
when it comes out the reissues, because they're gonna put there bold letters, John Coltrane. Oh my gosh, you know.
Well, I guess why it comes to mind for me is like I curate my own collection based on all these like factors when I'm trying to, you know, determine where to explore for new music and then figuring out what I like. And sometimes that coincides with the reissues, and that's
Mhm.
great. And I can get like Mal Waldron, The Quest. That's a great, you know, one that I was particularly interested in. So there's that. But then like if you're just the casual person who's just kind of picking off jazz records that are being reissued, like I just feel like it'd be nice to have some curation around it, to say like just to provide context, because I feel like um otherwise, like, why should I care about this thing? I don't know. It's just like there's a do-it-yourself piece to it, but I just feel like they could be narrating kind of like the history of the music, and I feel like it could get more people interested into it. It could probably make their selections better, perhaps, if they're trying to create some type of I don't know, like narrative or whatever. But
Yeah.
does that make sense? I just feel like just randomly just being like, oh well, this one sold really well, let's reissue it, or this one, you know, is rare and $1,000, you know, let's just reissue that. Like it's got to be more than that.
Yeah. I think, no, and to your point, Mike, I think that happens quite often with box sets. The box sets, really good books. That Miles 54, for example, the Slugs has an amazing insert, super explained, and you know, given the history, the not to mention the Village Vanguard, Sonny Rollins, which is such an important and well crafted thing. Everything that Zev puts out, so those usually box sets or things like this, they have good context. But I agree with you. Most things, oh, this is the new series. Here are the titles, boom, and then people just like, oh, look at that. Oh, it's amazing, dude. You know, why? You're right. Yeah, you guys are right on that point.
Yeah, I've been pickier over the last year for sure. I'm going to continue to do that. I don't have every new OJC, for example. There's been some cool stuff they've released. There's a couple that I still want that I haven't gotten, like the Eastern Sounds. I still don't have a copy of that one.
Yeah.
I'd like to pick that up. But you know, the OJC's that series is a bit of a mystery. Some of the choices are interesting.
Yeah.
Like Bill Evans, obviously, that's going to sell. That's why they put those out. That's fine. Then there's some oddballs like the Tony Bennett, Bill Evans record. Like I love that record, but I don't. It just seems like an odd choice.
Yeah, those are interesting. So Bill Evans, he was kind of broke in the late 70s. So he was, you know, he cut the record with Lee Konitz, the Tony Bennett, to make money.
Yeah.
He bought a house, the mortgage went really up, and he couldn't afford his mortgage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But
at the same time with Kraft, though, I feel like the jazz dispensary side of things has just been killing it, like with just about every release they've done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's like they have a social media presence that they put some effort into, which is appreciated. And yeah, I mean, overall, you know, the amount of good quality reissues that are coming out is very good. It's just that there's so much, and it's been going on for a number of years, and there's more coming on, that helping the consumer understand a little bit more about the music. And Felipe, you're absolutely right. Zev does that. And there's plenty of like historical releases that provide very rich liner notes. So there's obviously that too. I didn't mean to gloss over that, but
no, for sure. Yeah. I'm just saying, when those series come or individual releases, they just put like a press thing and not very, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, like praising the thing. But I think
like the Kraft OJC, like these are, for me, these are like the great catalogs. So I feel like they deserve to be like contextualized, you know, and have like a face to the series. Like Joe Harley does a huge service for Tone Poet. that's a great spokesperson for that,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
producer. So,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
sure that there's people at Craft that know this stuff and care about
Mhm.
this stuff.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
and in that regard, the Tom Poet Society, I mean, for the members, we get like almost like a blog. There's they are posting stuff every couple days about what they're doing there, the releases, and
Mhm.
this has been and it's open for discussion. That's become a nice space in there. I know it's for subscribers only, but it is a good thing. Perhaps it could be a good idea. Let's say you start a new series, let's say the OJCs. There's that book, right? The OJC cover catalog guide. They could put out something like that,
Mhm.
put a few pages, all the titles and everything, and then have some text about it. You can buy the book
Yeah.
and be a guide for our series. That would be very nice, I think.
Yeah.
It would be interesting. At the same time, like, I've referenced this a bit earlier, but there's some series out there that I'm not a fan of because the qualities are just not is so hit or miss. I'll just say the Verb by Request series. Some
Mhm.
of those have been amazing. Like
Mhm.
mostly a lot of the stuff that Ryan K. Smith has mastered has been really good, but some of it has been terrible.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like I got that John Schofield, and it's just trash. It's completely unlistenable. I don't know how it ever got released. Honestly, that was a travesty. That one,
Yeah.
the Don Cherry, I think was the same way.
Yeah.
But the sad thing about it is now I'm scared to buy them, and like there's a lot of really cool titles. And
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
putting a crap ton of stuff, like so much shit on that series, but it's all just like I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where if they just did it the way Blue Note does the classic series, I think they would have so much more success.
Yeah.
It does. And it goes to your point, Chris. I think Verve by Request is probably the most interesting series out there in terms of the title selection, the stuff that's like under the radar or never thought about, and titles across genres.
Mhm.
It could be like a killer one. It could be like a
Yeah.
killer one. They started so well with Alice Coltrane.
Yep. Yeah, and the Roy Brooks, that one's really good. Like I
Hmm.
said, there's been some stuff in there that's really good, but I'm just very weary of it. I think a lot of people are. So,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the Ahmed Jamal The Awakening.
mhm.
Um, and there was a Alice Coltrane that I got. Um, and then there was that Roy Brooks, yeah. Right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. That was like the first one. That was pretty cool, that Roy Brooks.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I stopped kind of I don't even know what they're putting out. I think they're doing a lot of impulse that are pretty expensive to get
There's a
original.
lot of titles. They did Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter. There's a bunch of stuff there. A lot of
Yeah.
soul titles. I mean, the James Brown one, that record's like quintessential, probably James Brown's best record,
Mhm.
So, yeah.
But we don't want, crappy mastering and pressing. Like we just don't want that. You can put in a cheap ass jacket that like the classic series proves that sells to a lot of people. That's
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah.
You can have it pressed at Optimal or somewhere, even like GZ or whatever. I mean, most of these pressing plants are doing a pretty good job nowadays.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
like if it's bad mastering and it just sounds bad, like nobody wants that shit.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it creates a reputation. Even though if you fix it later, it's hard to, the first impression, it's always the one that lasts, right?
All right. Well, what else? Any other questions for 2024 or looking into 2025?
Oh, I'm really excited in 2025 for the new Strata E series. Speaking of
okay.
series,
Yeah.
the Strata E releases, we know there's going to be 5 titles coming first. They should be out about spring. And I'm excited because it's Kevin and Joe working with Chad Tolliver. I have high expectations for that. I don't think they're going to drop the ball whatsoever.
Yeah.
And we have so many great titles put out by Pure Pleasure, right? But it's going to be like a Tone Poet level Strata
Mhm.
series, so that'll be cool. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'd be exciting. I would rebuy some of the records I have on Pure Pleasure just to see that there's a difference,
Hmm.
for sure.
In the mainstream stuff, that's going to be like groundbreaking. No, we're going to figure out which are the new Tone Poet exclusive
Yeah,
titles.
that's going to be interesting. So the exclusive Tone Poet is already causing a stir.
Yeah.
And depending on title selection going forward, things might get rocky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Oh, yeah. And again, there's another wish for 25. We can add that. Please, when things get announced and you dismiss it, don't come complain after the fact, please.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
You're saying buy now or cry later, Felipe?
No, it's like, oh, I don't need this series. I don't need those titles. Oh, this is crap. This is too much. This, and then it comes out. Oh, They should do that. They should release this, dude. You don't care about it, so why are you talking about it?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, we were talking about like faces of reissue series. Chad Kassam does a pretty good job, like promoting the labels he's interested in, why he's interested in them, his favorite titles in it. So, just like a little bit of context like that, I think goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it should be finally done with the Steely Dan stuff. I'm looking forward to what he's going to be put out next year. Oh, there's the Impact's One Step, the Charlie Bird record.
Oh,
that I'm interested in.
Yeah. Impacts will, I'm sure, do some cool stuff in 2025.
To see how it's gonna be, yeah. No, there's and plus the Bandcamp. That's like, yeah.
All right,
like an amusement park.
For next year, when we do this recap video, let's plan to talk about how when Chris came up to New York, we went to the Vanguard and that show.
Yes, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Make that happen for 2025.
All right.
Yeah.
Deal.
Definitely. Yeah. Let's short list. Yeah, definitely. Let's do it.
Okay.
Just
all right. Well, this was fun. Nice little recap. I think 2024 was a great year for collecting and listening to music and sharing our experiences. So thanks for everyone watching the channel. We absolutely appreciate it, and look forward to getting comments and interacting with everybody. Again, just a plug for the Jazz Bones Discord. That's basically, if you're not familiar with Discord, it's basically just giant chat rooms, and we have a server where people are on there. There's over 700 people. It's pretty active. So if you're looking to connect with people and talk about music, join. There's an invite link in the description below.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
See ya.
See you.